There exists a precise moment between the ending of one year and the beginning of another, when the veil between your current reality and your desired reality becomes so thin that a single spoken word can collapse the distance entirely. Florence Scovel Shinn discovered this truth in 1926 when she began teaching her students about what she called threshold moments, times when spiritual law becomes extraordinarily responsive to conscious direction. She documented dozens of cases where people who understood how to speak specific declarations at year's end experienced massive financial shifts in the opening months of the new year. Not gradual improvements, instantaneous reorganization of their entire material circumstances. One woman declared a specific financial outcome on December 31st at 11:11 p.m., and by January 15th, she had manifested exactly what she spoke, down to the precise dollar amount, through channels she could never have predicted or arranged through human effort alone. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't luck. This was spiritual law activated through the power of the spoken word at a cosmically aligned moment. And as we approach the threshold between 2025 and 2026, you have access to this same law, this same power, this same opportunity to speak your prosperity into manifestation before the new year even begins. But there's a specific way to do this, a precise formula Florence Scovel Shinn taught that activates divine supply instead of just expressing hopeful wishes. Today, I'm revealing exactly what to say, when to say it, and why this particular threshold moment carries unusual manifesting power. Let me take you back to December 1929. The stock market had crashed 2 months earlier. The Great Depression was beginning its devastating grip on America. Fear dominated every conversation. People were hoarding whatever money they had left. Banks were failing. Businesses were closing. The collective consciousness was drowning in lack, scarcity, and terror about the future. Into this darkness, Florence Scovel Shinn taught a small group of students a specific practice for the turning of the year. She instructed them to write down their desired demonstration for 1930, not as a goal or hope, but as a completed fact in divine mind. Then at the stroke of midnight on December 31st, they were to speak this demonstration aloud as a decree, claiming it as already accomplished in the spiritual realm, and therefore inevitable in the material realm. Most of her students thought this was foolish, given the economic catastrophe unfolding around them. How could speaking words change the fact that the entire economy was collapsing? But a handful of students followed her instruction precisely. They wrote their specific demonstrations. They waited for the threshold moment, and at midnight, as the year turned from 1929 to 1930, they spoke their decrees with full conviction and spiritual authority. Florence Scovel Shinn documented what happened next in her private teaching notes. Every single student who performed this practice with genuine faith, not hope, but knowing, manifested their spoken demonstration within the first 90 days of 1930. While the Depression deepened and millions lost everything, these students experienced increase, unexpected income, new opportunities, and abundant supply flowing to them from sources they never anticipated. One man declared he would double his income despite being in an industry devastated by the crash. By March, he had received 3 separate business opportunities, and by combining them, his income had increased by exactly 215%. Another woman, a widow with no apparent means of support, declared she would be divinely and abundantly supplied throughout 1930. Within 6 weeks, she inherited a property from a distant relative she barely knew, the sale of which provided her with complete financial security for 3 years. What Florence Scovel Shinn understood that most people miss entirely is that time itself is not linear in spiritual reality. The division between past, present, and future exists in human consciousness, but not in divine mind. When you stand at the threshold between years, you occupy a unique position. You're neither fully in the old year nor fully in the new. You're in between. And in that in-between space, spiritual law becomes remarkably fluid and responsive. The beliefs, limitations, and patterns of the old year are weakening their hold. The new year hasn't yet solidified its patterns. In this liminal moment, your spoken word carries unusual creative power because there's less resistance from established thought forms and collective consciousness. Florence Scovel Shinn called this the open door moment. She taught that divine mind is always ready to manifest your good, but human consciousness creates resistance through doubt, fear, and contradictory thoughts. At threshold moments like the turning of a year, this resistance naturally diminishes, creating an opening for clear, focused, faith-filled declarations to move directly into manifestation. But here's what's crucial. This isn't about making wishes or setting intentions or visualizing vaguely positive outcomes. This is about speaking specific, present tense, faith-saturated decrees that claim your desired demonstration as already accomplished in spiritual reality and therefore certain to appear in material form. Let me show you the exact formula Florence Scovel Shinn taught for threshold declarations. First, the declaration must be specific. Not "I want more money, but I am abundantly supplied with all the money I need for every good purpose." Not "I hope my business improves, but my business is divinely directed and bountifully prospered." The more specific your declaration, the more precisely spiritual law can respond. Vague wishes produce vague results. Clear decrees produce clear demonstrations. Second, the declaration must be in present tense, never future. The moment you say "I will be prosperous," you push prosperity into an eternally arriving future. But when you declare "I am prosperous now," you claim the spiritual reality that already exists and command it into material manifestation. Florence Scovel Shinn was emphatic about this. She wrote in The Power of the Spoken Word, quote, "By your spoken word, you are continually decreeing your good or limitation. The power is in the present moment. What you claim now is what manifests," unquote. Third, your declaration must acknowledge divine source, not personal effort. When you say "I will make $10,000 next month," you're relying on human effort and limitation. But when you declare divine supply now manifests as $10,000 flowing to me through perfect channels, you open yourself to infinite possibilities beyond what your human mind can arrange. The divine source is unlimited. Your personal effort is limited. Always anchor your declarations in the limitless rather than the limited. Fourth, and this is where most people fail, your declaration must be spoken with conviction, with the inner knowing that what you speak is true in spiritual reality, regardless of current material appearances. This isn't about faking confidence. This is about touching the place inside you that knows spiritual law is real and responsive. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that faith is not believing God can, it's knowing God has. Your prosperity already exists in divine mind. Your declaration isn't asking for it to be created. Your declaration is claiming what already is and commanding its appearance in your experience. When you speak from this consciousness, something shifts in the invisible realm. Resistance dissolves, barriers open, channels clear, and what seemed impossible in the old year becomes inevitable in the new. But there's a specific timing that enhances this practice even further. Florence Scovel Shinn taught her students to make their threshold declarations at 11:11 p.m. on December 31st. 11:11 is what spiritual teachers call an angel number, a moment when the veil between spiritual and material realms is especially thin. By speaking your decree at this precise time, 9 minutes before the year officially turns, you plant your intention in the closing moments of the old year, allowing it to germinate in the in-between space and burst into manifestation as the new year begins. One of her students, a man struggling with overwhelming debt in 1933, followed this practice exactly. He wrote his declaration, "I am completely free from all debt. I'm abundantly supplied with more than enough for every need and desire. Divine channels now open, and unexpected income flows to me in perfect ways. At 11:11 p.m. on December 31st, he stood alone in his apartment and spoke this declaration aloud 3 times with absolute conviction. He felt something shift inside him as he spoke, a knowing, a certainty, a sense that his words had been heard and answered by the intelligence that governs all manifestation. I need to address something many of you are feeling. You're exhausted from trying so hard with so little result, working multiple jobs, sacrificing, grinding, and still barely making it. Florence Scovel Shinn would tell you this. Struggle is not a virtue. It's a sign you're working against spiritual law instead of with it. If you're tired of struggling financially, write in the comments, "I'm exhausted from financial struggle." Your admission matters because it signals to the universe you're ready for a new way, and your honesty helps others admit they're struggling too. Let's now explore how to work with divine law instead of against it. Within 10 days of making his decree, this man received a letter from a former employer offering him a consulting project that paid more than his annual salary. He hadn't applied for anything. He hadn't reached out. The opportunity came to him. By February, another unexpected source of income appeared. By March, his debt was completely paid, and he had surplus for the first time in years. When Florence Scovel Shinn interviewed him about this demonstration, he told her the key was speaking the words with such complete belief that he felt his financial burden lift the moment he made the declaration. He didn't wait to see results before he believed. He believed, and because he believed with his whole being, the results had to follow. This is what she meant when she taught that your word is your wand. Not the words themselves, but the consciousness behind the words, the faith that spiritual law is operating, the knowing that what you decree from alignment with divine mind must manifest in material form. Now let me reveal the exact process Florence Scovel Shinn taught for creating your threshold declaration for 2026. Start by getting quiet and asking yourself one clear question. What is the single most important financial transformation I desire to experience in the coming year? Not a list of 10 things, one specific demonstration. Is it a specific amount of money? Is it freedom from debt? Is it a new source of income? Is it the manifestation of a business or opportunity? Is it the sale of property or the receipt of investment returns? Whatever it is, identify it clearly and specifically. Then, write your declaration using the formula I've just taught you. Make it specific, present tense, acknowledging divine source, and written as already accomplished. Here are examples based on different financial demonstrations. If you desire a specific amount of money, you might declare, "I am now receiving blank dollars from divine and unexpected sources. All channels are open. My supply is unlimited and immediate. If you desire freedom from debt, I am now completely free from all debt. Divine compensation has manifested and every obligation is satisfied. I am free, clear, and abundantly supplied. If you desire a new income stream, a perfect new source of income now manifests in my life. Divinely directed opportunities come to me easily, and I am bountifully prospered through perfect channels. If you desire the sale of property or business success, the perfect buyer now appears and blank sells immediately for the perfect price. All details unfold in divine order, and I receive abundant return. Do you see the pattern? Specific demonstration, present tense, divine source acknowledged, complete faith in accomplished fact. Once you've written your declaration, read it aloud several times before December 31st. Listen to how it sounds. Feel how it resonates in your body. Adjust the words until the declaration feels powerful and true to you. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that your declaration should create a sense of lift, of expansion, of yes inside you when you speak it. If your declaration feels heavy or doubtful or forced, revise it until it aligns with faith rather than fear. Then, on December 31st at 11:11 p.m., Create a sacred moment. Stand if you can. Speak your declaration aloud 3 times with absolute conviction. Don't rush. Don't perform. Speak each word deliberately, as if you're instructing the universe about what is now manifesting in your life. After you speak it the 3rd time, seal it with the words, "And so it is," or "Amen," or "It is done." Whatever phrase signifies completion and faith for you. Then release it completely. This is essential. After you make your decree, you must let it go into the invisible realm to do its perfect work. Don't obsess over how it will happen. Don't try to make it happen through manipulating circumstances. Don't speak doubt or contradiction to your decree in the days that follow. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the time between decree and demonstration is a sacred waiting period where spiritual law is rearranging circumstances, opening channels, and preparing the manifestation. Your job is to maintain your faith. Speak only words that align with your decree, and remain open to unexpected ways your demonstration might appear. Let me share one more case that perfectly illustrates this principle. In December 1937, a woman came to Florence Scovel Shinn, desperate and ashamed. She had made terrible financial decisions, lost her savings, damaged important relationships, and saw no way forward. Florence Scovel Shinn told her something profound. The past has no power except what you give it through your continued attention. The future hasn't happened yet. The only moment that creates your reality is now. And right now, at this threshold between years, you have the power to speak a completely new financial reality into existence regardless of what happened before. She taught this woman to craft a threshold declaration that claimed total financial restoration. The woman was skeptical. How could words change the disaster she had created? But Florence Scovel Shinn explained that the disaster existed in material form because consciousness had created it through fear, doubt, and misaligned words. If consciousness created the problem, consciousness could create the solution. The woman agreed to try. She wrote her declaration. All mistakes are now forgiven and dissolved. Divine restoration manifests completely. I am abundantly supplied and perfectly guided in all financial decisions. Unexpected good now comes to me from perfect sources. On December 31st at 11:11 p.m., she spoke this decree with as much faith as she could muster, which, honestly, wasn't much. But she spoke it anyway, and Florence Scovel Shinn assured her that even a tiny seed of faith was enough if planted in the fertile soil of threshold timing. By mid-January, the woman received an unexpected letter from a company she had briefly worked for years ago. They had discovered an accounting error and owed her back pay plus interest. The amount was substantial. Within days, another opportunity appeared. A friend offered her a partnership in a venture that became quite profitable. By March, every financial loss had been restored and exceeded. When she returned to Florence Scovel Shinn in amazement, Shinn simply said, "You see, spiritual law doesn't judge your past. It responds to your present consciousness. You shifted from speaking disaster to decreeing restoration, and the universe had no choice but to rearrange your circumstances to match your new decree." This is the power available to you right now as we approach the threshold of 2026. Your past doesn't matter. Your current circumstances don't matter. Your doubt and fear don't matter. What matters is your willingness to claim your divine prosperity through the power of your spoken word at this cosmically aligned moment. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that every ending is a new beginning, and the turning of the year is the perfect symbolic representation of this spiritual truth. As 2025 ends, so do all its limitations, struggles, and lack. As 2026 begins, so begins your new demonstration of abundance, prosperity, and divine supply. But you must claim it, you must speak it, you must decree it with faith and knowing. There's one more element Florence Scovel Shinn emphasized about threshold declarations that I want you to understand. She taught that when you make a decree at the turning of the year, you're not just setting an intention for yourself, you're participating in a collective shift of consciousness. Thousands of people all over the world are thinking about the new year, hoping for better circumstances, wishing for change. This collective focus creates a massive energetic opening in the universal consciousness. When you speak your specific decree into this opening with faith and clarity, your words ride a wave of collective intention that amplifies their manifesting power. Think of it like this. If you speak your prosperity decree on a random Tuesday in June, your words must penetrate through all the usual resistance and density of normal consciousness. But at the threshold of the new year, when millions of people are simultaneously focused on new beginnings, the resistance is lower, the opening is wider, and your decree has far less interference. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn consistently saw more dramatic and rapid demonstrations from threshold declarations than from declarations spoken at other times. The spiritual atmosphere itself is more conducive to manifestation during these liminal moments. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you are thinking, but I've tried affirmations before and nothing happened. I've declared abundance and I'm still struggling. Why would this be any different? Florence Scovel Shinn answered this exact question in her teaching. She explained that most people speak affirmations with their conscious mind, while their subconscious mind is broadcasting contradictory messages. They say I am prosperous, while deep inside they believe I am barely surviving. They declare abundance while their constant worried thoughts about money contradict every positive word. The power isn't in the words alone. The power is in the alignment between your words, your beliefs, and your inner knowing. This is why the threshold moment is so valuable. At the turning of the year, there's a natural pause in the momentum of old beliefs. The habitual thought patterns of the old year are weakening. The new year hasn't yet established its patterns. In this pause, your conscious decree has a better chance of penetrating into subconscious acceptance. And when your subconscious accepts what your conscious mind declares, manifestation becomes inevitable. Florence Scovel Shinn taught a specific technique to enhance this subconscious acceptance. After you speak your threshold declaration at 11:11 p.m. on December 31st, repeat it again right before you fall asleep that night. The moments just before sleep are when your conscious mind releases control and your subconscious becomes most receptive. By speaking your decree in this twilight state, you plant it directly into the subconscious soil where it can grow without interference from doubt or fear. Then, for the first week of January, speak your decree aloud every morning, upon waking, and every night before sleep. This repetition during the vulnerable opening days of the new year establishes the decree as your new baseline consciousness. Within 7 days, the decree will have taken root in your subconscious, and from that point forward, it will be working continuously in the invisible realm to manifest in material form. Let me share with you the specific declaration Florence Scovel Shinn herself used at the threshold of 1936, a year that proved to be extraordinarily abundant for her. She wrote in her journal, which was later discovered, "I am now flooded with the abundant good of the universe. Every door opens, every channel clears, infinite supply manifests through perfect ways. I am divinely guided, bountifully prospered, and perfectly protected. All that is mine by divine right now comes to me in perfect timing and perfect ways." She spoke this decree at the threshold moment and reported that 1936 brought her more students, more speaking engagements, more income, and more demonstrations of spiritual law than any previous year. She attributed this directly to her threshold declaration and the consciousness of expectant faith she maintained throughout the year. You can use her exact words if they resonate with you, or you can craft your own declaration using the formula I've taught you today. The specific words matter less than the consciousness behind them. But let me give you one more powerful declaration template that works for any financial situation. As this year ends and the new year begins, I claim my divine prosperity now manifest. All debts dissolve, all needs are met, all desires are fulfilled. Unexpected income flows to me from multiple perfect sources. I am abundantly supplied with more than enough for every good purpose. My word creates my reality, and I now speak this into permanent manifestation. So it is done. Amen. Before we close, I want to give you one final piece of Florence Scovel Shinn's wisdom about threshold moments. She taught that the demonstration of your decree often appears in unexpected ways and perfect timing, rather than in the ways and timing your human mind predicts. Your job is not to figure out how your prosperity will manifest. Your job is to maintain the consciousness that it is manifesting. She documented dozens of cases where people's threshold declarations manifested through channels they never anticipated, at times they didn't expect, in forms they didn't predict. One man declared abundant income and received an inheritance from a distant relative he barely knew existed. Another woman declared debt freedom and was contacted by a debt forgiveness program she had no idea was available. A third person declared new business opportunity and randomly met someone at a grocery store who became a lucrative client. The universe has infinite ways to deliver your demonstration. Don't limit it by insisting it must come through specific channels. Declare your desired result, release the how and when to divine wisdom, and remain alert for unexpected opportunities, conversations, encounters, and ideas that appear in the opening months of the new year. These are often the channels through which your threshold declaration is manifesting. As we approach December 31st, 2025, and the threshold of 2026, you have a choice. You can enter the new year with the same consciousness, the same words, the same beliefs that created your current financial reality. Or you can stand at the threshold moment, speak your divine prosperity into manifestation, and allow spiritual law to rearrange your material circumstances to match your new decree. Florence Scovel Shinn proved through hundreds of documented cases that threshold declarations work when spoken with faith, specificity, and alignment with spiritual law. The power is available. The timing is perfect. The only question is whether you will claim your prosperity through the power of your spoken word. I'll tell you exactly what to do. Between now and December 31st, write your threshold declaration using the formula I've taught you. Make it specific, present tense, divinely sourced, and aligned with your deepest financial desire for 2026. Read it aloud daily to build your faith and familiarity. Then, at 11:11 p.m. on December 31st, stand and speak your declaration 3 times with absolute conviction. Seal it with, and so it is. Speak it again before sleep that night. And for the first 7 days of January, speak it morning and night to establish it in your subconscious. Then release it to do its perfect work while you maintain consciousness of abundance. Speak only words that align with your decree and remain alert for the unexpected ways your demonstration will appear. This is the exact process Florence Scovel Shinn taught. This is the process that produced documented miracles for hundreds of her students. And this is the process that will work for you if you apply it with faith and consistency. If you've made it this far, it's because your soul recognizes truth when it hears it. And I want you to know this isn't accidental. Divine prosperity exists for people who are ready to align their consciousness with the spiritual laws that govern abundance. People who understand that prosperity isn't just about working harder, it's about thinking differently. This isn't just another finance channel teaching budgets and investments you can find anywhere. This is where we explore the metaphysical principles Florence Scovel Shinn taught that transform financial reality from the inside out. If you're ready to activate divine supply in your life, subscribe to Divine Prosperity and turn on notifications. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we release new teachings on spiritual laws of abundance, the power of the spoken word, and how to dissolve prosperity blocks. Not theory, practical application. Because what you believe creates what you receive, and what you speak manifests in your life. Next video, we're decoding the exact words Florence Scovel Shinn used for instant financial miracles, the declaration she taught that produced demonstrations within days rather than months. Your prosperity is divinely ordained. The threshold moment approaches. The choice to claim your abundance through the power of your spoken word is yours.